Months went by without a single sign of Ray. Although the lack of fighting seemed nice at first, the longer the peace extended, the more suspicious and paranoid the Sentinel and his colleagues became. The triplanetary orbit around the Pantheon was completed, putting Earth, Janistar, and Amalga 5 all in orbit around each other. Now that they were in range, the people of Janistar began to colonize Amalga 5 and recolonize Earth, dubbing it New Earth. Some of the residents of Janistar were old enough to remember when they lived on Earth. It was an emotional day to move back to the dead, lifeless planet. To rid the planet of its uninhabitable atmosphere and land that the Sentinel left it with, he used his terraforming machine to clean up his mess. In no time, he returned the planet's atmosphere to its more stable and livable origins. He went back in time and used his machine that he used to save the dinosaurs to save all the animals on Canada Prime when it was destroyed, and he brought them back to New Earth. For the animals, it was as if nothing had changed at all. Foxtrot was elected to oversee Janistar, Miser was put in charge of Amalga 5 under the Sentinel's supervision, and Vaxx was placed in charge of New Earth. The Sentinel stood alone in the hangar of the Pantheon, watching over New Earth, Janistar, and Amalga 5. He watched as cargo and transport ships flew between them effortlessly. He watched as the moon eclipsed Janistar, shrouding it in darkness like it was so used to, but it didn't want now that it had its own star, the sun. An elevator stopped in the center of the hangar, and footsteps approached the Sentinel. He remained still, standing stoically and watching, his arms crossed behind his back. The footsteps stopped next to him. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Foxtrot said. "Why aren't you asleep?" The Sentinel asked, not turning his head. "Same reason as you?" Foxtrot stared off into space. "You know how hard it is to have your brain? Sometimes I forget that I'm a clone of you. But when I remember, it hurts." The Sentinel remained silent. "Those 4 years that you were gone weren't so bad. Vaxx and I were together for a bit there. I loved her. I know I did because it was me thinking it, of course. But it's your brain." Foxtrot looked up at the Sentinel. The Sentinel didn't turn his head, but he responded, "Why are you telling me this? What we had didn't last. We both had our thoughts occupied by someone else. She loves you. When she met me, I think she used me as a sort of, Sentinel replacement. I was close enough. But she wants you. Part of me knew it wouldn't last. The part of me that loved her was your brain thinking, not mine. I should have known. I don't swing that way." A service bot rolled by Foxtrot's side with a platter of drinks.
"A drink, sir?"
It insisted. Foxtrot took one and downed it. He placed the glass back on the platter. The service bot rolled up to the Sentinel.
"You?"
It asked. "I'm good, thanks." The Sentinel didn't take his eyes off the emptiness of space ahead of him. The service bot rolled away. "Thanks, HR." Foxtrot thanked the bot. He sighed. "I don't know." "How does the cloning process work?" The Sentinel questioned. "You have my brain, but do you have my memories?" "Not all of them. A scattered few from your first 3 incarnations is all." Foxtrot answered, thinking nothing of it. "So Conchna." The Sentinel continued to stare as Amalga 5 eclipsed New Earth. "And Ray." "All of the clones until they were wiped out," Foxtrot added. "Though each of us were made with some individuality. I should know." The Sentinel thought about it. All the clones he had killed in the past, all the clones that Conchna created and subsequently destroyed. Arlo, and how he was so easily turned into such a twisted creature. He felt responsible. "I'm going to try to get some shut-eye, I just wanted to let you know." Foxtrot walked back to the elevator. The Sentinel walked to the edge of the hangar and sat down, dangling his legs in open space. The next morning came quickly as a ship from Janistar docked in the hangar. The Sentinel was startled awake by the sounds of the engines. He slept on the floor that night. He approached the ship, discovering that it was a diplomat ship. Miser ran from the exit door before the ramp even finished extending. He stopped in front of the Sentinel, breathing heavily. "Miser?" "The Calculus storage." Miser couldn't keep up with his own words, stuttering profusely. "Miser, what is it?" "All of it's gone. The Calculus was stolen." "What?" A speaker sounded in the hangar.
"Calling Sentinel, Foxtrot, Miser, and a Paradox Master to meeting room A."
The Sentinel and Miser shared a confused and concerned look. They rushed to the central elevator. Once inside, the lights flashed. "Meeting room A." The Sentinel spoke to the elevator.
"Adjusting gravity."
A robotic voice responded. The artificial gravity slowly flipped until Miser and the Sentinel stood on the ceiling of the elevator.
"Going down."
The robotic voice spoke. The elevator shot down the lower pyramid until it came to a stop at its glass tip, the meeting room. When the elevator came to a stop, Miser rushed out towards Vaxx. He was the first to speak. "Vaxx, we have a problem. Our Calculus supplies have..." He stopped when he noticed who was standing around the meeting table. The Sentinel was also a bit confused. Vaxx stood next to Foxtrot, Agro, Vistor, Life, and Death. The elevator dinged, and the Paradox Master stepped from it cautiously. "What's this?" the Sentinel asked. "Say hello to the Sentinel's army." Vaxx held out her arms. "We've got Ilsos on our side against Ray, and helping to save the universe." Vaxx pointed at King Vistor and Agro, then switched her attention to Life and Death. as well as the whole of the Extraverse on our side. Unfortunately, not all of them could make it. How'd you pull this together? The Sentinel asked. Turns out, Sentinel, Aggro began, that people are really into the idea of continuing to exist. Kinda need a universe for that. Ray destroyed many of my cities, Vistor grumbled, flapping his butterfly-like wings. I will not stand for that. What about life and death? The Sentinel questioned. It is our duty as emissaries to preserve the multiverse, Life hummed with her ethereal voice. We're happy to help, Death added. Miser, you were going to say something? Vaxx reminded him. Right, ma'am, all of our mine calcris was stolen. It's gone. We would have noticed it sooner, but no one has gone mining in a while. We think it was stolen when Andrometron fell. Put an investigative team on that right away, Vaxx demanded him. Miser nodded and quickly made his way to the elevator. So what now? Do we just sit around and wait for a fight? And are we set on this Sentinel's army name? I don't think... The Sentinel looked around at the meeting room table. This is your fight, Sentinel. We've got your back. We're your army. I've set up some armor smiths that are working on some battle armor for Vistor life and death. We're ready to fight for you. And for the multiverse, Vaxx informed him. Armor isn't going to do well against Ray, the Sentinel reminded Vaxx. He's got that remote thing. He fights with emotions. And so do we. Aggro held up his hand. He was holding a remote. We invented the technology, we just need a plasma user to activate it. The Sentinel stumbled back a bit, startled. Put that away, he demanded angrily. Aggro was quick to comply. The Sentinel shook his head and regained his composure. Plus, he isn't affected by it. He actually seems to enjoy the pain, he reminded them. He turned his attention to life and death. Wait a second, why would the Extraverse want to help with this? This has nothing to do with you. Saving the multiverse may be, sure, but Ray? Ray is a distraction to the Paradox Master's progress in fixing the universe. Death answered. We care about the structure of the multiverse, and this war is happening to get in the way of that. And remember what I told you, Sentinel. I think my being here should be a testament as to how not small-scale this war will be. The Sentinel flinched, raising his brow and giving Death a fearful look. Death whispered. His voice seemed to travel, reaching the Sentinel's ears only. Fear the empty throne. The Sentinel stepped back. Vistor cleared his throat. Well, you're Death, he blinked. Can't you just, make Ray be dead or something? I'm the emissary of death. I'm in charge of dealing with the dead, not being the cause of their death. Death craned his neck and his feathers puffed outwards. He darted his eyes over to Vistor. A translucent screen extended from the center of the meeting table and turned on. A message was relayed from Miser. Vaxx, this is Miser. Come in. We can hear you loud and clear, Miser. Vaxx confirmed. Everyone's eyes stayed locked on the screen. The investigative team on Janistar is dead. Everyone in the planetary government is dead. I tried to check in with New Earth and Amalgam 5 and they didn't respond. I fear that maybe... Miser, what's the cause of death? Can you tell? The Sentinel asked worriedly. I don't know. It looks like they did it to themselves. I can't tell. Why would... Miser stopped. Wait. Miser, get out of there. The Sentinel got closer to the screen. Get out of there, he yelled. The transmission cut out and the lights in the meeting room shut off. The screen stayed on at a passive glow. Without warning, Ray's face flashed on screen, and his shrill voice sang through the speakers quietly.
I've no time to wait and sigh, no patience to wait till by and by. Kiss me quick, I'm off, goodbye. Pop goes the weasel.
The lights flickered back on and the screen sparked and shut off. Why is he doing this? Vaxx stepped back. For fun, Aggro answered. We've got a problem. The Paradox Master greeted the Sentinel early the next morning. We've got several. The Sentinel had stayed up all that night in the planning room of the Pantheon. Do you know the planet IS-53? The Paradox Master inquired. Don't think so, why? The Sentinel asked. It's got blue sand dunes, 2.5 suns. Ring any bells? Vaguely. The Sentinel thought about it. Alright, well that planet is sort of on the edge of the universe, and the way that planet's suns work is that the half-sun is halfway through a wormhole, which means that the other half of it has got to be somewhere, right? Right. The Sentinel looked up, wondering where this is going. The other half is in the Milky Way. Correction. Was. It's been destroyed. By who? The Sentinel stood up. By what? It started. The broken universe can't handle the strain. The universe is collapsing from the edges in. IS-53 was destroyed along with its half-sun. We've got our first indication of the dying universe. It's happening sooner than I predicted. Now, Vaxx wanted you to go investigate, but she's making me go with you. She's busy and doesn't want you going anywhere alone. So where are we going? I've been getting distress calls from a planet codenamed IS-137. The Paradox Master put his hand on the Sentinel's shoulder. You ready? Sure. The Sentinel nodded. They flashed away and appeared on the surface of IS-137. It was cold and windy. The sky was dark, accented with auroras of light. The light brown ground beneath them crumbled with each step like snow, but it felt dry. Nothing seems out of the ordinary here, the Sentinel remarked. Did Daru always buy boring empty planets? For the most part. The Paradox Master turned around. Whoa. There it is. There what is? The Sentinel turned around. Holy. The two of them stared up into the sky behind them, or what was left of it. The sky itself was ripped in various places, and spirals of entire planets were hurling toward the edge where space met blackness darker than the center of a black hole. The stars warped and stretched. In the distance, they could see an entire galaxy being swallowed whole. The edge of space was full of gaseous orange, blue, and purple. Strange white creatures flew in the sky with golden wings, fluttering like a dragonfly. They surrounded the melting sky. The planet they stood on was being ripped apart very, very slowly. I imagine this happening quicker, the Sentinel remarked. It is. Time is just so distorted here. I bet we've been standing in the spot for just seconds, maybe less. The Sentinel continued to stare up into space, as did the Paradox Master. He followed the Paradox Master as he walked forward. This death will be slow and painful. It'll keep coming until it consumes the whole of the universe, and when the universes collapse into a singularity, boom. The threads that bind this broken reality will snap, and like wildfire, the dying will spread into the infinite expanse of other universes and spread forever. Because of us. We just needed to be here to confirm it. All is lost. There's nothing we can do now. We need to get out of here. Why? The Sentinel stared down the Paradox Master, towering over him. What do you know? Time won't tell me everything. She's keeping secrets from me. Celeste's been trying to tell me something for ages now. He's been trying to tell you, but time won't let him. The Sentinel looked up at the burning space above, and he whispered in his gruff voice, I don't think we did this. You're just trying to lift the blame off yourself here. The Paradox Master turned away, not bearing to watch the destruction as an entire galaxy was swallowed by the void. All we did was break a cycle. We couldn't have done this. This isn't my fault. I need to stop this. How? We just need to accept our fate. No. The Sentinel stood his ground as the spatial winds picked up and the planet began to crumble further. What do you mean, no? The Paradox Master turned around. This isn't our fault, and I'm going to figure out how to save it. Sentinel, you said it yourself. Celestia has been trying to tell us something. Death has been trying to tell me something. Can we argue about this somewhere else? I'd like to get away from the edge of the collapsing universe, please, thank you. The Paradox Master spoke nervously, putting on his confident and annoyed front. Right. The Sentinel nodded. He flashed away, and the Paradox Master did too. They appeared in the Extraverse. Time sat waiting for them. Beside her sat Celeste. Life and death were missing, and the empty throne in the back remained. Time? The Paradox Master greeted. Paradox Master. Time's voice echoed. The Paradox Master walked past the Sentinel and sat down in his throne. You have a question, Sentinel? Time inquired. Celeste, I don't believe you've been properly introduced. The Sentinel ignored Time and approached Celeste's throne. The dark celestial being sat down, still and waiting. His color shifted from dark green to dark blue as the stars in his translucent body shone. Why should I fear the empty throne? The Sentinel asked. Leave, Time demanded of the Sentinel. No further questions. Why not? The Sentinel asked, angrily turning his attention to Time. For your own good, Sentinel. If you do not leave, you will be forcibly removed. Time's voice echoed louder through the Sentinel's mind. I thought we were on the same side. The Sentinel said softly as he left the Extraverse. The Paradox Master didn't follow him. He seemed tied down by the overbearing power of time.